Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. First video in a little while, but I am going to be talking about my top 10 favorite fights in Avatar: The Last Airbender, specifically fight scenes, and I'm going to add one more caveat. The fights cannot be from the final 2 episodes of a season, so basically non-finale fight scenes throughout the entire series of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Not Legend of Korra, that'll be a future video down the line possibly. And I will do a video as well covering and ranking all of the fight scenes in those finale episodes. So those will be accounted for in their own video. And nothing else left to say, let's go and hop right into number 10. And in my number 10 slot, I have what I'm calling the Blue Spirit Escape. This is one of my all-time favorite episodes. I'm going to say that for a lot of these, by the way. There's not a bad episode of Avatar. This fight, starting out with Zuko stealthily sneaking into Zhao's compound, finding Aang, and then freeing him, shockingly, and then he basically being forced to free Aang to try to get the credit instead of Zhao. It's such a great reveal at the very end when you do find out that the Blue Spirit is Zuko, because throughout the entire fight on your first viewing, you have no clue who this is. And it's just such a good scene. One of my favorite points, I literally just rewatched it before making this recording. I never caught this, but Aang steals the staff of one of the Fire Nation soldiers fighting them, breaks off the end of it. I always thought for some reason he had his staff. I just never connected that he didn't have his staff. He was taken prisoner. So naturally he wouldn't have it. It was back at the camp with sick Sokka and Katara. So that was just a really cool point as well, seeing Zuko with his dual swords going at a lot of those Fire Nation soldiers, them trying various ways of trying to escape. I thought this was just a phenomenal fight scene. And it's only number 10. At number 9, I have Katara versus Pakku in the Waterbending Master. This is just a great scene for Katara standing up for herself against, this patriarchy that's up in the Northern Water Tribe and fighting against the blatant sexism of Master Pakku. And the whole thing, Katara being completely self-taught, going up against a master, holding her own, standing on her feet, 10 toes down. I mean, when they start throwing out the ice and when they start sliding around, and it's just a great fight scene that you can't knock me down. Great. Love it. Such a great scene. Next up is one I just find more fun whenever I rewatch the show, and it was one of my favorites as a kid, continues to be one of my favorites as an adult. Team Avatar versus the Rough Rhinos. This whole scene starts out with Aang dressed up as Kyoshi. They just had the big trial. He's sentenced to be boiled in oil, and out of nowhere, is it Colonel Monkey? Captain? I can't remember his rank. Monkey and the Rough Rhinos come in and just surprise everybody. The mayor, being played by James Hong, of course, the iconic voice actor and iconic actor actually in general. And, he's like, Avatar, save us. I'd really love to, but I'm supposed to be boiled in oil. There, community service. It's just so funny. And then the boomerang, you do always come back. One of my favorite bits between me and my brother growing up of Avatar is just Sokka happily finding his boomerang, which went missing in the beginning of the episode. And so, just one of my favorite episodes in general, and just a really fun fight scene. Plus seeing Aang pick up the fans. I remember as a kid being like, why didn't he just keep those? Obviously they work really freaking well. I mean, a fan, airbender, I don't know. But it is more fitting for him to use his staff. But I mean, it would have been cool to have a fan as well. That's just me. Next up, when Avatar went horror. Team Avatar versus Hama. This episode is just so creepy in all the best ways possible, starting out with just telling ghost stories, but I mean, when it comes to the fight scenes specifically, having the bloodbending introduced and seeing just the creepy and just skin-crawling ways that Hama can just move people around, having Sokka nearly stab Aang and only is it truly ended when Katara has to dig into the taboo of actually using an ability that strong to defeat Hama. It's a win for the heroes, but it's such a bittersweet win. The animators went all out with how creepy the bloodbending could look. I can only imagine like what else they cooked up with concepts before settling on the way that they ended up with. It's just so creepy. I put this one at number 7 mostly for the way it makes you feel when the fight is over. It's not a super happy feeling despite Team Avatar winning and it's the end of the episode. Katara breaking down in tears. It's just it hits hard. Next up is a fight that really just takes like half the entire episode, and that is Team Avatar versus Azula and company in the drill. It's just a great scene starting out with seeing Team Avatar just trying to slice through the drill and realizing that, oh wait, we don't need to break through every single support to, have this thing collapse. We just have to break them enough and then just give one big blow at the top and it all falls apart. And then of course Azula, Mai, and Ty Lee trying to stop them, having the whole bit where like Sokka Katara jump through the exhaust or the I'll use the word exhaust. I don't think that's the correct word, but the outage of the wall that they're breaking down, and having Mai just be like, "Oh, I'm not jumping after them. You can do it." And Ty Lee's like, "All right, Azula's gonna be mad at you." And then you end up having the whole bit with Toph. One of the funniest moments with me and everybody else I know is just
"It's so dark down here. I can't see a thing."
Oh no, what a nightmare.
This whole fight scene, and then of course finishing with just Aang running up the wall after he perfectly sliced that piece of earth into the drill, and hearing the music play as he runs down that wall and delivers that final blow. Cinema. Team Avatar and the Freedom Fighters against Long, Fang, and the Dai Li in the episode Lake Laogai. This is just, again, when Avatar just goes creepy and goes into that, war propaganda in that middle of season 2. Season 2 is low-key the best season of the entire show. So good. Aang and Jet then running off, and Smellerby and Longshot, mostly Smellerby, getting Jet back to consciousness only for Jet to get smacked in the face and really smacked in his whole body by Long Fang, as Long Fang then makes his escape and then of course later revealed to be a traitor in the next episode. But I mean, right here you have Jet's death, and yes, Jet does die. I know what Sokka says later. It has been confirmed many times that Jet dies, and it's just a huge scene. Just Toph walking away.
He's lying.
So, chef's kiss of a fight scene. Huge, emotional hit at the end. And it's only made up for with the fact that we get Appa back. The fight scene itself is just incredible watching the Dai Li fight Team Avatar and the Freedom Fighters and seeing all the interesting ways that they're using the earthbending. It's just so cool. This is just a great episode. The cutaways in this episode are just also hilarious. Just Toph's mom just, oh my gosh, she must be so scared. You think you're so tough? So funny. It's just so, great bit. And then, of course, by the end of the episode, right before the fight scene starts, Toph's dad is carrying her out. My daughter's helpless. She can't help anyone, not even herself. Pulls her hand away. No, I got this. Walks up, solos the entire wrestling federation. Then, of course, you get the bit against Shin Fu, and it's just so good seeing who's going to be the next member of Team Avatar just absolutely wreck everyone. And my favorite part about Toph, other than the jokes and her, steadfastness, and honestly the way that she's a bit of a static character, she doesn't have a ton of growth throughout the show. She has growth, but it's comparing that to even Sokka, Katara, Aang, especially Zuko, she really doesn't grow the most out of every one of them, which I think is fitting. I mean, we don't need to have every single character have these massive arcs. Basically, she has an arc in this episode. She has a couple of moments later on, but for the most part, she's pretty much right throughout the show. She never really loses a fight when people are on the ground and she can see them with her earthbending. And that's honestly one of my favorite parts about her, is that she has her weaknesses, but if people are on the ground, she isn't really losing. And before we get into the top 3, I wanted to go over a couple of honorable mentions. And I specifically have 2 honorable mentions. Very, very memorable moments from the show that I think a lot of people might have expected to be on this list, but I didn't include for one reason or another that I'll get into when talking about them. In no particular order of these 2, I have the Appa versus Momo fight from the episode Nightmares and Daydreams. And the reason that this one isn't an entry on the list is because it's technically not a fight scene. It's an hallucination by Aang in the episode. I wanted to give it its flowers in an honorable mention just because it is a very entertaining, very memorable part of the show, seeing particularly Appa stand up. I think that is just freaking hilarious. I laugh every time I see that. And of course, you know, the Appa Momo fight itself is just funny. I didn't want to put it on the list because, again, it is just a hallucination by Aang for just staying up for like 5 days straight. It is just, I had to give it its flowers. The other fight scene that's going to be an honorable mention is the Katara and Zuko versus Yan Ra in the Southern Raiders episode. It's not a fight per se. Yan Ra throws like 1 or 2 fireballs, and then Katara just completely styles and aura farms on him. And, I mean, it's not really a fight because Yan Ra didn't really retaliate. It was more of just an ambush that is just extremely intimidating. It is just a really emotional scene. I really wanted to include it somehow, and that's where I'm just going to keep it in an honorable mention, just because it is such a great emotional beat. It you can argue it's a fight scene. I'd argue against it, but I wanted to at least include it here as an honorable mention. And to start off my top 3, at number 3, I have the escape from the boiling rock. And specifically, of course, this is the gondola fight. And having the warden, May's uncle, captured and gagged on there while trying to escape with him to ensure their safety. And then Azula and Ty Lee, not May. May was, standing back, if you recall. One of my favorite moments, about that episode is Zuko and Sokka's teamwork of fighting against Azula. Just Sokka coming in, creating space with his sword while, working around Zuko. And it's just a phenomenal bit because you saw their failed escape attempts were really screwed up with getting out into that water on the cooler. And if this fails, they're really freaking out. They're really in trouble. They cut the line, and then finishing with one of my favorite moments. Just,
you miscalculated. I love Zuko more than I fear you.
And it's just, it's so good. Then Ty Lee, she blocks Azula to save May, and then that really just starts, if you get into the comics, the true, sisterly friendship that Ty Lee and May have with each other against Azula, and them, pretty much going to therapy about, the crap Azula put them through their entire lives, and that really being the kickstarting moment at the end of this fight scene. When you look at this fight scene, it is really a massive turning point in the entire show, because now Azula is truly on her own. This is the start of her downfall, and it's also just a phenomenally entertaining fight scene. In my penultimate spot, number 2, I have Entering the Earth Palace in Ba Sing Se in the episode The Earth King. This is the reason I actually wanted to make this entire episode. I was watching the episode The Earth King, where you have this massive introduction fight scene, and seeing particularly mostly Aang and Toph in all the most creative ways earthbending you ever really see used, and then having Katara have her moments. Sokka has his comedic moments. Even Appa and Momo get in on the action. This is right after they get Appa back. And just them destroying through the entire Earth Kingdom defense. It is just so satisfying. And plus, seeing Aang get serious, shit's about to get down. Shit's getting real. And then, of course, finishing with the big confrontation with the Earth King and Long Feng, and then revealing Long Feng to be a traitor. And the reveal to the Earth King that the war is real and it's going on. It's not only a great episode, but this fight scene is... I had it at number 1 for a while making this list, but I think for obvious reasons you'll understand why I had to move this one to number 2 and keep my number 1 slot for what it is. My number 1 slot is The Day of Black Sun. I mean, it has to be this one. It was hyped up for an entire season. Halfway through season 2, they learn of the solar eclipse. Halfway through season 3, they're fighting during the solar eclipse. And it is such a great episode. By the end of season 2 is when Azula learns of the eclipse, sends the information back to the Fire Nation, and prepares them for defense and an escape plan, and just a really great plan in general for the failure that is the Day of Black Sun. It is just such a big scene, ending in bittersweet, where the heroes, the kids get to get away, but the adults have to all go off to prison. This is, of course, what leads to my number 3 slot with the escape from the Boiling Rock. This is where Hakoda actually got imprisoned. This is also just a great episode in general. This is where Zuko officially turns and becomes on the side of Team Avatar and confronts his father. It's really just, this fight really does go across the entire 2 episodes. And it is one of, if not, actually, it is the best fight scene that does not include a finale, which, again, I'll be going over in another video. Thank you all so much for watching and hearing my thoughts on what my top 10 non-finale fight scenes are in Avatar: The Last Airbender. Again, I will be going over and ranking all of the fight scenes, and I had found 14 of which within the last 2 episodes of season 1, last 2 episodes of season 2, and the final Sozin's Comet 4-part episode in season 3. Again, 14 fight scenes in there that are all going to be accounted for and ranked against each other in that video. So actually, it's 2 more slots if you count the honorable mentions than this video. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. For those who stuck around, subscribe for more. I'll be continuing to try to make videos like this, as well as videos on Marvel and DC Comics, superheroes in general. So be sure to press that subscribe button, like this video if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.